Hello everybody, this is Age of StarCraft once again bringing you another video commentary for my YouTube channel, and today I am finally bringing you the third part of my mini-series. Actually it's not a mini-series, but anyways, I am finally bringing you guys today the kind of introduction to the Protoss race. So before I get started here, I just want to talk a little bit about build orders and strategizing and things like that. First of all, build orders. If you guys don't know what a build order is basically you have your resource counter here, and when I say like 9 pylon for example, what that means is that at 9 supply, I will be putting down a pylon. So that's what a build order really means, is that at what point in time do you put down your buildings, you make units, you use chrono boosts, etc, etc, etc. So just to kind of clarify with you guys, this little series, these 3 introduction to each races videos that I am doing are the only time you will ever hear me say this is a build order you should do, or you should go, or you should practice if you want to do X or Y. Why is that? Because StarCraft 2 is a game that is constantly evolving. There is never really just one way to do a build order. So let's take a look at the 4-gate build, which I will actually be doing here today. There are a lot of iterations of a 4-gate build. What is a 4-gate build? Is a 4-gate build a gateway, a cybernetics core, then 3 gateways? Or is it 2 gateways, cybernetics core, then 2 other gateways? Or is it 4 gateways, then cybernetics core? Or, you know, there are all these little variations that you can do even on just one specific build. So for starters, there's that. And, you know, do you make certain units, do you make other units? It's going to vary a little bit by person to person depending on the situation they're in. Now, the second thing is that the StarCraft is a very complex game, guys. I can't tell you that you can go the 4-gate and you will always beat Terran, or you can go 4-gate and you will always beat Zerg, or if you make 2 Zealots in the beginning you will always beat Zerg. That is completely, if anyone says that, it is 100% not true. You will never hear me say that. That is why my videos are meant as guidelines to you. So just to reiterate, this little series, these 3 videos in particular, are the only times, at least to my knowledge, that I will, maybe in the future I might make some other specific videos like showing you specific build orders, but in terms of like how to play each race, this is the only time you will see me say go this build order. Now, to clarify that, I want to make sure that you guys understand when I say go this build order, I'm talking about for players that either they're trying out the race for the first time, or this is their first time playing StarCraft or StarCraft 2, or they've been out of the game for a while, or you know, anything like that. When you're trying to just kind of practice a little bit with each race specifically, these videos that I have done are very generic, safe strategies that will usually get you up through, you know, bronze, silver, gold, and probably around gold you might want to start diversifying your builds a little bit. But this is just very, if you're having trouble in your games in the lower levels, these are the builds you want to perfect. And once you perfect these builds, you can go ahead and, you know, start doing other things, because the way build orders are achieved by is that a player basically, like I'm a very tech heavy person, for example, so you will see me use the 1 gateway into robo bay a lot, and you know, I've got my own little timings, and if I want to be offensive or things like that, those little nitpickings that I start pulling apart in my gameplay once I'm confident with what I'm doing, that's how build orders are achieved. So obviously you don't always want to follow just what someone says, oh, you know, just go with this build order and you'll be fine. Definitely you want to start trying out your own things, building, you know, think outside the box a little bit if you feel more comfortable. So just wanted to clarify that with the build orders and what that means really, and what these videos are especially. So just for beginners, just for starters, you know, this is not like you will always win a game with this build order. Definitely not like that. So let's go ahead and get started here. And before I actually start the video, excuse me one second, notice that I've put the speed on normal, and I want to, and I'll actually be pausing the game quite a bit too, because I want to be able to talk what's going on here. Now, the first thing you want to do as a Protoss player, or really as any race, is you want to put your first SV probe drone to make. So I've gone ahead and done that. I've made my first probe, and now the second thing you want to do is set your workers to the mineral line. So there are a couple ways you can do this. In StarCraft 1, it was very important that you split your workers, and what that means is basically like I'll grab these 3 workers here and I'll put them to this mineral patch, and I'll grab these 3 workers here and put them to this mineral patch. You will see me do kind of a fail split. I didn't really split it properly, but this is not necessary in StarCraft 2. Like, the difference between a player that splits and the player that does not split is maybe like 5 to 10 minerals, 15 if you're really good at it. And it's not as essential as in StarCraft 1, because in StarCraft 1 the AI was pretty bad, so they would actually queue up on one mineral patch before going up to other mineral patches, and it was pretty disastrous if you didn't do it. So just one thing to know, don't freak out. Really just, you can either press Control and click on one probe to hold them all. Actually, I shouldn't be talking about that, that's for a different video. But you can just select them all and click on the mineral patch, and that's really the important thing, to do that. So those are the first two things you want to do. So let's go ahead and keep this video going. And why is there no music? Okay, there's the music. Sorry about that. So as you can see, this is the third thing you want to make sure you do, is your command center, nexus, gateway, hatchery. Excuse me, you want to rally it to your mineral lines, because what this will do is that automatically next time that a probe comes out, it will go to mine specifically. So you can see, let me pause here real quick. You can see me messing around with the rally points, and this is actually something specifically that I do, and you don't have to do it. If you know what APN means, it's action per minute, so I'm not going to get too much into it right now, but basically I don't think there's too much benefit in clicking one certain spot too many times, so I try to do a little bit more of a precision training, because it's very easy to misclick things when you're in the battle, and that's really what you want to do with your APM. You want to train it to be specific and to be able to keep up with everything. So I try to click each mineral patch individually. It's just one thing I do, so don't only do it for the first couple of minutes. The really important thing that you guys want to be doing is you want to be making probes back to back, and for Protoss it's a little bit difficult in the first early game, because you have to be really like close with your timings. You don't want to be messing it up around a little bit too much, and I will show you guys here why. So at 9 supply, I'm going to wait a couple of minerals here, and I'm going to grab one probe, grab one right there, and put a pylon down at your entrance. Now this is something you don't see me do in my games, and actually, can I see my camera here? You can't see. Oh, okay. I was hoping that you could see the ghosting image of the pylon. It is very important that this pylon be put down in a right position. Now let's see where I put it down first. I really wish. Okay, there we go. Okay, actually, let me rewind just a little bit. Wow. This is actually very important, which is why I'm trying to take a little bit extra time to show you guys. Now, when you saw that ninth probe come out, or start making, sorry, excuse me, you want to grab a probe right immediately after that to come over here to the entrance. It might be a little bit lesser or longer depending on the map, the distance that there is from your nexus to your ramp, but this is very important. I'm going to show you guys here. Come on, real quick. There we go. Okay. This pylon here, notice where I'm putting it. If I could see, yeah, I can't see it, but if you could see the pylon power, you'll notice that the circle just barely edges out up to here and up to here, right around there. That is the key thing you want to notice, because the way that a lot of people do their pylon wall, the walls at their ramp with the Protoss, is that they put a pylon right here. And there are very, 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 very many reasons why you do not want to do that. First of all, this pylon can be taken out by just about any unit if it's here. Second of all, it kind of gives you like a wonky wall, because then you put your gateway over here, and then you have like this weird pylon that only takes 1 hex, I think it is, or 2 hexes, and you can't really put any buildings behind it, and you kind of have to do like this whole maze to get through your base, which can be good if that's something you like to do to avoid opponents getting into your base quickly. That is something you can do, but I really, really, really do not recommend that I recommend that you do not get into the habit of putting your pylons down here or down here and make it part of your wall. Why is that? Like I said, this is very vulnerable. For Baneling Bust, I mean, I'm against the third player here. For Baneling Bust, this pylon will go so quickly, not to mention that it's supply and it's powering your buildings. So if by any chance you were to lose this early in the game right here, because you put it right here and it's getting sniped by stalkers or something like that, it's going to put you down quite a bit. Now, you want to be, the reason I put it up here, this is actually a little bit off place. It should be maybe 1 hex here and 1 hex up. You want to be able to put a gateway and either a second gateway or your cybernetics core down here, and I will actually show you guys a little bit later how to do that. But this is I think the best pylon placement that you can do is right here, where you can still power your buildings, but it is not a vulnerability. And not to mention, you can power buildings on this side of the ramp and on this side of the ramp. Sometimes when you put your pylon here, it doesn't quite reach here, so you have to put two earlier, and it's kind of a disaster, but not a disaster, it's kind of messy, I think. So let's go ahead. Once you put down that pylon, you're going to use the same probe to scouting. And why am I stopping here? I was probably going to make more probes over here. So you want to, the one key thing you want to be doing is you want to be making probes back to back on your nexus for the first like 5 minutes of the game. Now notice here I am not using my chrono boost, and that is because this is where actually this is exactly where the Protoss player builds start differentiating a little bit. Let me tell you why I don't think it's a good idea to use this chrono boost yet. If I start using it right as this pylon is finished, look at the timing of the probe right now. This pylon is about to be finished, and this probe's about to come out, and I'm about to supply block myself. Once this probe comes out, the next probe won't be made out. But look at how close it is to being made to being in supply because of this pylon. So let's go ahead and play here for a second, and look at that. Just as it finishes, the probe comes out. Probably this probe just came out, and the next probe is being made. Now, if I start using chrono boost right now, this probe will come out faster. But then the second probe, it will be wasting maybe 3 to 4 seconds of chrono boost. If I were to use chrono boost right now, I wouldn't be able to make the extra 15 minerals, I believe, to put that second probe, or maybe not this one, but the next one. And why is that? Because I really want to put my gateway down first. Now, let's pause here again and go back to the disclaimer. This is where builds differentiate, guys. If you find that you'd rather do chrono boost here first, that's something that you have to test out on your own and that you have to check. But I am giving you just the general guidance. You do not want to use your chrono boost yet, and I will show you guys why. Once I hit 12 supply, I want to be grabbing one of the probes here and put down a gateway. Now, before we go into that, let's take a look at the scouting pattern. This probe is always good to use it here to scout, because you want to see where the spawning pool is and how early it is. Right now my friend Good Luck Have Fun here is actually, he might be going for a fast expand, or he might be using for this to scout. But definitely, if you're playing against a Zerg, you want to make sure whether there are any spawning pools here. If you are playing against a Protoss, you want to make sure there's a pylon here, and you want to make sure that there's a gateway going down soon, because if there is not a pylon here and there's not a gateway here, it's definitely a proxy. And if you're going up against a Terran, you want to make sure there's a supply depot somewhere.